Doing so good, and then How's it going, product people? I'm Sierra from Product Plan, and today I'm going to talk to you about how to conduct a stakeholder analysis. So we get a lot of questions about this topic, like what is a stakeholder analysis and why is it important? And how do you even conduct a stakeholder analysis? So let's get started. But before we dive in, I've linked some great resources for you below, so if you want to become a stakeholder expert, I recommend you take a look after this video. But now, let's dive in. What is a stakeholder analysis? A stakeholder analysis helps you identify and understand the stakeholders in a given project. Doing this before your project begins will help you be successful. So, how do you conduct a stakeholder analysis? There are three major steps that you need to remember: identify, prioritize, and understand. Let's cover these in a little more detail. First, you'll want to identify who your stakeholders are. These people are the ones that are going to be affected by your project the most. They can be marketing, sales, the executive team, and even your customers. An easy way to do this is brainstorm a list of all possible stakeholders with your entire team. That way you can all be on the same page and not leave anyone out. Step number 2 is to prioritize your stakeholders. To do this, assess their interest, influence, and level of participation in your project. One example of how to do this is with a power interest grid. You'll group stakeholders into 4 categories. The first is high power, high interest. These are your most important stakeholders. To satisfy them, keep them involved. The second is high power, low interest. These stakeholders have a lot of influence, but not a strong interest in your project. Keep them in the loop, but try not to over-communicate with them. The third is low power, high interest. These stakeholders don't have much influence, but are still affected by your decisions. Make sure that they don't have any major issues. And last is low power, low interest. These stakeholders lack both influence and interest in your project. It's not crucial that you communicate with them regularly. Another approach to the power interest grid is to group your stakeholders into 4 different categories: players, subjects, context setters, and crowd. The players are the powerful people that can make or break your project. Keep them fully engaged. Your subjects care a lot about your project and can offer great ideas and advice. However, you don't always need to say yes to them. Context setters, like heads of departments for example, have a lot of influence but don't need to know the details. And finally, the crowd are the low priority stakeholders that will require the least amount of ongoing communication. And the last step of your stakeholder analysis is to really understand your stakeholders. Now pay close attention, this is the most important step. If you don't understand how to communicate with each stakeholder, then you won't earn buy-in. To do this, build a profile for each stakeholder. The profile should answer these 3 questions. The first is, what motivates your stakeholder? The second is, how does this project align with their priorities? And what other priorities might they have? And the third is, if they have a negative view of the project, what can we do to change that? And now you're ready to Now you're ready to begin developing your stakeholder communication plan. I'm going to stop right there, but I've linked some great free resources below this video for you, so I highly recommend you check them out. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.